Hi guys, watch me paint Joseph, this big old baby. I would love to do it on live, but I can't go live on TikTok right now, so I thought I would start like a little, I'm hoping maybe like 5-part journey on YouTube, but this one is going to be the veining, creasing, and blushing. I'm trying out a new technique where I do like my blushing and my veining and creasing before I do my modeling layers. I'm liking how it's turning out on my other kit, so figured I'd do it on this one. But I'm just kind of putting some veining on the hands and going down the hands. And then I just kind of throw some, in the mix everywhere. For these bigger veins down the arm, I usually do a little thicker because obviously they're bigger veins, so they're a bit thicker. I want them to poke out a bit more. And then just tapping that out. I try to do blending more towards the end so that it blends into the skin and kind of leaving like the middle parts a little bit more thicker and noticeable. And same thing with the hands. I do those a bit thin, and then I try to take it down to the hand so that it looks a bit natural. Sometimes I'll like put it into the crease, which those are a bit hard to blend out, but I make it happen. It works. And then this big old leg, there's going to be a lot of veining. Not really a lot, but getting the vein out of the crease was like so difficult because it's so close together. But I just kind of put a whole bunch going up and down the leg. I try to get some in the creases and by the bottom of the foot, like where that little ankle would be. And then I just dab it out. Same thing with this one, just going up and connecting them. And then I also do a bit more on the legs. But again, I try to kind of do a thicker one when I do the bigger ones. You'll see that in a sec. Oh, I guess not. And then just doing some veining on the foot as well. Kind of like bringing it down the side up towards the ankle again. And on the toes. Now when we get to the head, I just kind of like to do some that goes around the ears, kind of connecting to the eye. Or the other side, I do like connecting like by the ear and then more towards like the top of the head. But I obviously make those a bit thicker because those are more noticeable. And then some on the back of the head connected to the ear or going upwards. I'm not sure if this baby's going to have painted hair, rooted hair, or just bald. We'll just see when we get there. But for right now, I'm going to go ahead and add like the veining no matter what. I get some that's kind of coming out of the ear. And then I did also a couple on top of the head as well. By that, like, what's it called? The soft spot, I guess. But this is a 3 months old, so the soft spot really isn't there. So it's not emphasized. And then I also do some around the nose, like the little upper lip area to kind of bring out that creasing. And then down by the mouth for like the little frown lines or whatever. And then we are on to the creasing, which I just used red and a little bit of burnt umber. But because I did the burnt umber, I just added it onto my little palette. And then you don't want it like too thick, but I try to make it, to where you can see the red is a little thicker because you want the creases to be defined, especially on this chunky baby. So I just start with the bigger creases because the little tedious ones on the foot take a lot more time, so I just try to get the big ones out of the way and just kind of follow your creasing. I always try to do the ones around the knee because it just adds the definition, especially for this chunky baby. You want to add as much definition as you can, at least that's what I do. This is my first time painting such a chunky baby. Usually it's just newborns, so this is a fun experience so far. So we end up doing all those little lines on the bottom of the foot. I start with the deepest crease first on the foot, and then I'm also, this time, I'm adding like creasing to the toes as well. Like in between the creases and the bottom of the toes, I'm trying to make reds that actually has some color on them. And then we go ahead with the hand, same thing. I love this little hand though. Like, it's so defined, and I feel like it's going to look so cute. But anyways, you're just doing your creasing, making that a bit darker, but not too dark. Obviously, once you dab it away, it'll take most of that red away. But red stains real quick, so I don't worry too much about making my red too dark, because I feel like red is always too dark. Getting into the big creases on the hand as well, and then creasing in between the fingers and on the fingers. Getting in that little crease was so hard for me, because I feel like my brush was a little too thick, so it always kept rubbing against that little thumb. And then for the face, he's got like a chunky little neck rolls and chin as well. So I just kind of start with the neck rolls first, and then we end up moving to that little chin. I do the bottom of the chin and under the lip area, and then we do around the nose, that little nose creases, a little under the eyes and the eyelid, and then I do one that kind of comes out at that corner of the eye, like the outer corner. And for the last part, we are doing some blushing. I just did some warm blush plus the red color, and we're just going to add that because he is a 3-month-old, so he has a bit more color in his cheeks and stuff. I start with just doing the knees, which I did a little too dark on this knee, but I ended up just like dabbing it out and able to rub some of it off, so it was cool. And I do a little bit on the top of my feet, my knee, and then on the outer thigh, which you'll see in a second. And then just dab that off. And when I do those, I usually don't try to do too much color. I try to just like dab in the center and then outwards, so it blends it out a bit more. And then what I was saying with the blushing, I'm coloring pretty much the whole toes. But I do kind of like that C shape on the foot to where you leave the arch unpainted, and just do like the heel and the top of the foot. And then I also end up coloring the toes, as you see right there, because I want the toes to pop out more too as well. I've seen for my other kids, they just don't pop out as well, so I want to color them earlier instead of waiting on like my flesh tone and skin tone layers and stuff. But same with the hands. I do the top of the hands, the inside of the hands, elbow, and the outside of the arm. And I do end up coloring or painting in the fingers as well. Trying to avoid the nails though, because you don't want those red. I try to keep those until like the last few layers. And then again, just the elbow, outer, and then on top of the hand, kind of just all around the hand. This one has like little knuckles too, like more defined. So this hand I end up trying to do like the knuckles, obviously more blushed. But we're just dabbing it away. I kind of had to hold this limb at an angle to find the elbow, and I still think I was a little off. And then obviously for the face, I didn't show it in the video, but I did the ears as well. But I just do the cheeks, chin, nose. Sometimes I do the forehead, but that's for newborn, so I think I'm going to wait to see kind of how this kit turns out to see if I want to add something to the forehead. But for right now, we'll just keep it to the basics. And then I did like the ear and stuff. So then we just dab all this out.